Fusing things to your arrows are extremely overpowered, yet it's a unique way to play the game. You can do just about anything with these fusions, from shooting arrows that don't miss or even shooting a platform up into the air that you can ascend to. The possibilities are almost endless. I want to start out by showing you some of my favorites, and that's going to be the monster eyes. These things never miss when you fuse them to an arrow, so that makes it extremely useful in all kinds of situations. From taking down Gleeoks or any other big enemies that you need to stun, these things are fantastic. And on top of that, you can also use elemental eyes to add on elemental damage on top of the fact that it doesn't miss. From there, some of the others that I like to use are wings. You can use the Zonai wing, or you can even use monster wings to fuse to your arrow. That way it flies straight for an extremely long distance. You can also shoot rockets this way, which have about the same effect. Some of the other fusions I like to use are anything that causes big explosions. Say for instance, bomb flowers with a multi-shot bow. You can use time bombs, or you can even use cannons. I don't know about you, but these calls for some really entertaining battles. Other cool fusions are going to be anything that causes elemental damage, from fire to ice to electricity or splash damage. You can do all kinds of stuff with elemental items, and this involves monster parts. You can use gems. You can use just about anything that has an elemental effect. You can fuse it onto your arrow and get that elemental effect. Now just be careful, because if you fuse a ruby, sapphire, or a topaz to your arrow and shoot it near you, it will do damage to yourself. These have a massive area of effect, so just be careful when you fire these. Another unique fusion is going to be a Korok front. If you need a quick gust of wind to solve a puzzle or something along those lines, just fuse one onto your arrows. And speaking of puzzles, you can actually use bomb arrows to activate targets in shrines. So if you're having a difficult time with a very specific shrines trying to activate a target, just shoot it with a bomb arrow. Another extremely useful fusion that a lot of people don't seem to talk about are going to be the hover stones. If you shoot one of those up in the air, it'll actually stop at a safe distance that you can then ascend to and then jump off of, which is, pretty cool. Now here's a really unique way that you can use arrows in the game, and I don't see a whole lot of people talking about this because it is difficult, but I do want to cover it. If you find yourself in a situation where you want to ascend upwards but you're a little too far away, all you need to do is fuse something to your arrow and fire it at the place you want to go. After it falls, fuse something like the hoverstone to that item, jump on top of the hoverstone, and then recall that item. And then once you get towards the top, activate the hoverstone and then cancel your recall. From that point, you can use Ascend. Now I know this is really tricky to get right, but once you do, it's pretty useful. Now let's talk about how you can do an insane amount of damage to specific enemies with arrow fusions. The first is going to be using any monster part with an extremely high fuse attack power, something like a silver Lionel horn. And if you're trying to break armor, fuse something blunt to your arrows to take off the armor pretty quickly. Something that's actually pretty funny but effective is going to be cooking pots. And if you use a multi-shot bow, it's going to do the same amount of damage per arrow, so it just multiplies. From a 3-shot or a 5-shot, you'll get 3 or 5 times the damage as long as all the arrows actually hit. In order to get a 5-shot bow, the only thing you need to do is feed a 3-shot bow to an Octorok, and you'll see a bunch of these around Death Mountain. These Octoroks repair weapons as well as give them modifiers, and one of those modifiers is the 5-shot burst. Now here's a pretty cool trick. If you want to enter bullet time from just about anywhere, all you need to do is fuse a Zonai wing to your shield. When you shield jump with that wing attached, it boosts you up in the air enough to enter bullet time. Some other fusions worth noting are going to be certain types of food. If you fuse a piece of meat to your arrow and you fire it in the middle of some bokoblins, it will attract those bokoblins to that area, and then you can, use some area effect arrows, like say for instance a topaz, to take care of them. And if you fire dazzle fruit at enemies, it will stun them. Other useful ones are muddle buds and puff shrooms. Muddle buds will actually cause them to fight each other, and puff shrooms will act as a smoke screen. I also tried out star fragments just to see what they look like for you guys, and while they do look pretty cool, they're not very convenient, so what I would suggest you do is just fuse on bright blooms instead. Star fragments do put out a lot of light, but they only last for a few seconds, and giant bright blooms will last for a very long time. If you want a cool fireworks show, you can fire off dazzle fruit at like cliff sides down in the depths, somewhere dark, and it'll light up kind of like fireworks. You can also fire off beam emitters. I like to use them with multi-shot bows, and it'll kind of cause a really cool beam effect in the air. However, they're basically harmless. The last fusion I want to talk about is the Ancient Blade, because if you shoot one of these at an enemy, it will actually just completely delete the enemy, as long as it's not an extremely high enemy. Something like a Gleeok or a Hinox or anything like that will still survive, but it will do a massive amount of damage. Just keep in mind, if you do take out an enemy with an Ancient Blade, you will not be able to get the drops. Now, I'm pretty sure this is just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much stuff that you can fuse to your arrows, and I'm sure people are going to figure out a bunch of different unique ways to use them in the game. So if you have some cool ones, let me know down in the comments below. And there you guys have it. That's some of the best arrow fusions in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button, consider subscribing to the channel for more future videos. But guys, I'm peacing out for now. Have a great day, great now, wherever you are, and until next time, peace out.